Welcome back to another episode of how to set up your Onda gear. Today we're doing a tarp setup. So we have the Uno Mas tarp I make, which is the Goldilocks tarp. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's just right. It's roomy for one and cozy for two. You need 2 trekking poles. You could also use tent poles if you prefer to carry those instead of using trekking poles. Or if you're resourceful, you can use any down limbs or branches that you find or tie off to a tree or something. We're going to be doing the setup today with trekking poles, and you also need a minimum of 6 stakes, but 8 is preferred. So when you have your site picked out and you're coming into camp, you can already be adjusting your trekking poles on the way in. One you want about 48 inches high, give or take, and the other one you just want to collapse all the way down. So the long one is for the head end, and the short one is for the feet. And then you're going to want 3 stakes at the head end and 3 stakes at the foot end. Have the ridgeline tie-out line, and first we're going to make a clove hitch. So real quick, how you do that, you're just going to pinch the line in 2 points, and you're going to turn the same direction, both to the left, and then take the loop in your left hand and put it behind the loop in your right hand. So you have like 2 circles, and that's a clove hitch. Now take the end of your trekking pole. I prefer the handle end. You can do the tip end up if you like. The reason I like the handle up is you can also kind of dig the tip of your pole into the ground a little bit, which is a little helpful when you're staking everything out. Okay, so now I'm gonna back up a little bit. And we're gonna just loosely stake out the trekking pole. And now we'll stake out each corner. You kind of want to stake out the corner lines at a 45-degree angle, so in between your horizontal and your vertical lines of the tarp. If your pole is wobbly or falling over, you can just walk it out along the ridge line here to help keep it upright. Because then next we're going to stake out the pole at the head end. So you already have your pole adjusted. We're going to do the same thing and make a clove hitch here. So take the cord, pinch it 2 spots, turn the same direction, put the loop in the left behind the loop in the right. If you know other knots or tricks you like to use, feel free to use that too. Now I want to pull some tension along the ridge line here and kind of push the pole into the ground a little bit. I'm going to walk back and stake out the ridge line. Okay, now we'll loosely stake out the front corners. Again, 45-degree angle coming off between the horizontal and the vertical lines equally. Also, just to note, you can either use the loop from the bowline knot that you made, or you can make a girth hitch and just pass the line through the loop itself, and then it actually self-tightens onto the stake. So both of them work for me. And then with these line locks, all you have to do is just give them a little tug to tighten down any lines here. And then if you want to, if it's already windy or you expect it to be windy, the last one you want to pitch or you want to stake out are your midpoint tieouts here. You don't want these so tight that they're really changing the shape of the tarp. These are just more to reduce any flap from the wind. So these don't have to be really tight, but they do help reduce noise when you're trying to sleep at night. So you just give them a little tug. And one more note, this has some variability even though it's a shaped A-frame. If you want, if it's a light rain, or you just want it more for shade or just because you feel better, you can pitch it higher with a lot of room for ventilation if you're in a really bad weather situation, you can bring the ridge line down, and you can bring these in and pretty much stake these tie-out points right to the ground, and that'll minimize any angled rain or splashback that can come under the tarp. So you do have some adjustability with that too. Okay, for the full setup, if you have rain, wind, bugs, one or all of those situations, or you just want to pitch everything for practice, here's how you're going to integrate your burrito bivvy with the Unomas tarp. It was purposely designed and made by myself so that it works together as a full system. So once you have your tarp pitched, you can just slide your whole sleep system under here. Obviously, if it's raining, you're going to want to set up your sleep system under the tarp so it doesn't get wet. But if it isn't, and you have that luxury, you can just slide everything in there ready to go. And now here's the reason that we have, I sewed in these inner loops here at every tie-out point. And that's why I include all of these rigging items, like the mitten hooks and the cord and the shot cord. So you can do this many ways, depending how handy you are with knots. If you want, just run it through the loop here, and you can just clip it back on itself like that. And again, when you clip in the bivvy into this system, it also helps create a bathtub floor with the bottom of your bivvy, so that if there's any water that's collecting, or any running water, if you didn't pick the best campsite, then it won't leak inside of your system. So there. So you have plenty of length on all of these. You could adjust these. I could take some line out of there, and I could help tuck this up higher. Also, I could bring the whole tarp in narrower and pitch it lower to the ground, providing more coverage if you have any rain coming in at an angle or splashing in. The bottom is fully waterproof. The top is windproof, but also breathable to release some condensation, and also very, very water resistant. So any splash is not going to get your sleep system wet. And then the final setup on the head end here, just like we did, if you're in a buggy campsite, then you're going to clip this to the shot cord that you already had installed here on the inner loop at the head end. So we'll just take our girth hitch out of here that we put in earlier from our cowboy camp setup. Just pass it through, make a girth hitch there, pass the end through the adjustment point, and put your cord lock on there loosely. And then when you get in and you want to zip in for the night, if it's buggy, you can go ahead and pull this up, and it pulls it up, creates a bathtub floor, keeps the mesh away from you, which keeps the bugs off of you from buzzing so closely and biting you. And then you can zip in for the night. That's it. That's the whole setup there. On to Unomas tarp and the burrito bivvy. Happy hiking.